just be like this pun essentially is what happens a lot of times with whenever like the information gets delivered as to what the thing's going to be about. So I so I end up getting like even in that session that I ended up doing last week, the person was
Yeah.
like, they just always seem to know what they're saying. I'm like, I have no fucking clue what he's gonna say. He just kind of says it. He doesn't care. Like normally I would have like my own personal filters on when I'm actually talking to people. But when after a little bit of whatever happens, I end up I end up having this thing of like I have my normal filters when I'm talking to people.
Right.
But what is coming through me, like when I did that session last week, he just started talking and like the person was like they were irritated at him, but like he was very straightforward with them. Like normally I would have a filter on how I talk to people, and he just does not. He's just very like says it. It's interesting. Like
I'm gonna let we're live, by the way.
yes. How you doing today?
I'm gonna make that quiet mode. I think it is. By the way, they got great coconut water on the spaceship here. You can't see it.
Yeah.
I've actually had a very good download this week. Download.
Yeah. How you doing, Rico? What did the person in the chat?
Well, for a friend that I'm working on a project with, and our friend was occupied with healing himself and all that stuff, and we're set to do a project, and then he leaves me a message, like I need to relax and da 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 da. Okay. 10 minutes later, like I realize it's not just the physical, but also he's going through a spiritual cleanse, and I literally received the whole thing. And what I usually think of, oh, that's a good insight. Now I go, no, that's a download. That's like a message. The information was the same. I just look at it a little differently. I don't look at the information differently, but I treat what comes down slightly different.
So as you've integrated the stuff that's been brought through and these different transmissions, these communications, how much have you found that the way you interact with the world has changed because of integrating much of what's been taught?
It's all working together. My personal experience with the world is more calm these days.
Nice.
More smooth. Not so much taking sides or caring, but you want to believe this, that's fine. You say that's fine. Yeah.
Like if you take a lot of the information is very practical in nature, it's very easy to be like, okay, how do I want to apply this to the way I'm approaching life and the way I'm approaching people that I interact with.
Yeah.
And also the people that are in Europe that do watch these on it like weekly. I realize it's really late for most of you, so it's nice to do these, even for me, to do these much earlier in the day for me. So, and anyone that wants to join us, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we're also going to take questions from the chat. Jozef has his questions, yada, 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 so on and so forth. So,
yeah. Give me 2 more minutes, though. Someone actually asked, somebody left me a question in one of those comments. I'll try and find it. And I think I just managed to connect the Instagram. So let me see, YouTube. I want to ask our friends and audience, what did they how their lives changed since they started watching these broadcasts. I'm curious about that.
As Jozef can very, very well attest through the various conversations we've had, as much as I love doing this, I'm just here to be a guide for everyone. Like, I don't want to have an ego about any of this. I just want to help everyone else live a better life as much as I can. So,
Yeah, yeah, obviously. Let me find that question so I have it ready. It's been a busy morning. I was up at like before 6 today.
I got up at pretty much exactly 7 when my dog decided, "Hey, I want you to get up and start doing things."
Okay, I see the question here. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you, and we've said it before, but Kenneth doesn't know the questions I have for him, or if I collected from other people. And
Yeah.
even if we chat through the week, I don't give him any hints.
No, and I appreciate that because that way it's the raw like communication. Like I said, I'm here to like help. Like helping you guys also helps me sharing this information with you guys, and because I know I get various people from around the world that will like in Europe and like Australia and many English speaking countries because we're doing this in English obviously, but like it's nice to be able to share like the gift that I've gotten from doing this with everyone else that comes and joins us. Because keep in mind, everyone who watches this adds their energy into the transmission, so it colors how and what kind of energy that's delivered and what kind of information is received. So you guys are very, as much as I'm the one sitting in the chair being asked the questions, you guys are also very much part of the actual transmission. So y'all ready? Make sure you guys put comments in the or your questions in the chat, and Jozef will bring them up as we go. Have a great time, and I'll talk to you when I get back.
Thank you.
Good day to you all.
Good day, good day. How are you?
Perfect, and you?
We're very well, thank you. What would you have for us today, Ethan?
We delivered the idea of pull the trigger. What does this statement mean? What part of you is triggered when something gets pulled? What aspect of your being, what aspect of your way of looking at the world is triggered by those things in front of you? Who pulled your trigger? The answer is you. You pulled your trigger. Anytime you're faced with things that cause you to be in a state of anger, of pain, of suffering, outside of physical stress, typically when you are in a state of survival, of fear, this is the aspect that actually triggers you. In your daily life, you are given chances to decide whether you would choose to forgive, choose to let go, choose to hold on to your pain that you choose to allow yourself to be run by. When you look at the idea of being triggered and who pulled your trigger, the answer is simple. You did. Not to blame anyone, not to cause any suffering, but if you really, really look at the idea of the pain that you are going through at any given moment, many times it is an internal state that is causing most of your pain. It is the beliefs you hold on to, those grief, the pain, the suffering, all those ideas, all those beliefs, all those past experiences that you think you still maintain connection to. These are your triggers. So many times when you are becoming active in relationships, your triggers will be pulled. Anytime you are at and you are interacting with someone who pulls your trigger, they by no means are allowed to do these things, but they only do it when you allow them to do it. So, in this aspect, we would say for you Any time in the moment when you are feeling triggered by another person, take a moment and breathe and ask yourself, what am I feeling in the moment? What is behind this feeling of pain, of suffering, of fear? Why am I experiencing life in this way? Why do I choose these things? Because remember, it always is a choice in every moment, no matter what happens, by who it happens to in those times. So we would ask you who pulled your trigger every day, every time you are feeling frustrated with yourself and the people around you. Many times it's just yourself. Or you are going back to a previous event or a previous time where you were a younger person who could not quite handle things. Handle your understanding, your connection, understand the environment around you. Because many times people allow themselves to be trapped in those times and places because they were young and unable to control the world or allow themselves to be part of the world or understand things from a certain perspective that they couldn't as an adult. Understand that if you take some time and go back to those events and ask yourself, why am I feeling it? Why is this happening? Instead of looking at it as the child inside of you that is feeling the pain or the suffering or bringing up previous experiences, give yourself a moment to ask what is happening in the moment, allowing yourself to be more clear and more cognizant as you roll through the world. Whether it's your relationships with yourself, relationships with others, relationships with your family, relationships with your animals. In any moment when you are triggered by your experience, take some time to ask yourself these things.
Thank you. Would you tell us more about the state of mind who someone who gets triggered?
The idea of being triggered in the moment comes out of a state of fear. Think about it. In your daily life, when you are in a state where you are being triggered by an event, whether it be chemtrails, whether it be the government is out to get me, many of those people who are in survival mode are typically in a state of fear, a fear of the world not working out for them how they need it to, how they would like it to, how they would like to experience life. If you don't allow yourself to be cognizant of when it's happening, even remotely slightly being triggered, there is something there that needs to be addressed.
Very good, thank you.
Even people who act from a state of anger, many times they are afraid.
Yes, correct. Trigger, in a way, is an emotional response to something that supposedly I cannot control.
Yes,
Correct?
yes,
Okay. And realizing that there's no need to be triggered could go once it's really not threatening to me, or I don't have to take it that way.
no. Many times when people interact with our energy, it's because it brings up particular beliefs or particular experiences that put them in a state of survival. So therefore, these things are being brought to the surface. But in reality, because we exist at such a high frequency compared to most humans, you are coming in contact with an aspect of yourself that has not quite been healed or integrated into your experience of life.
Right. Old wounds, as we call it.
Yes. That is why we were here to help you go through the idea of integration.
Thank you. What would it take for someone to move past the point of trigger, which really means, if I understand it correctly, that's how I see it, is to take a different perspective on what was scary or out of control then? It's actually just a part of life that I can embrace.
Yes, it is an
How did that,
aspect of your experience of being human.
yes, but how did that switch happen? At what point does a human say, okay, I don't need to be triggered or follow my ego, I can follow the higher guidance?
The moment you have truly healed it, it no longer triggers you. As long as it still triggers you in the moment, it will cause a strong emotion to arise. And it may pop back up even after you have healed it from time to time, so you can get to the deeper root of the cause of your experience.
Yes. What is a common process for people to pass over the hurdle of this is scary, out of control survival mode into, excuse me, just seeing the big picture? It's not that bad after all.
Quit seeing it as a hurdle. Quit seeing it as something that you cannot get past. See it as a challenge and less of a problem that can never be solved. See it more as the idea of, I have gone through this experience. What has it taught me? See these as all as learning situations because that's all they really are in all times, in all places, in all situations when you are dealing with anyone that might cause you to go into a state of fear. Be open to what shows up and redefine it in a way that's more positive so you can get a positive effect out of the experiences at any moment.
Thank you.
It's just challenges.
Sorry?
Don't define anything as a hurdle, as something insurmountable, a mountain that you cannot climb. Give yourself permission to see these things for what they are, learning situations.
Yes, thank you. It may be a bit more difficult in the moment, especially for those who are used to, quote unquote, get triggered by something which is outside of them. I'll give you an example. I looked at some social media this morning, and one of my friends keep posting, "Oh my God, the world is gonna end. Oh my God, they're gonna take all our money. Oh my God, we're gonna." And my comment is always, well, it's a transitionary period. It doesn't have to be that difficult. It's really your point of view.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem like I'm making any positive change in this person's mind. He keeps posting about the fear-based beliefs.
Those who feed themselves with the idea of fear through media sources, through a diet of the world will end tomorrow, they will eternally feel like this until they allow themselves to be fed by something different.
I'd like to suggest something here for our audience.
Yeah.
In the case of running into a scary situation that you used to get triggered by, one thing to do is to think, how would that response or reaction versus response would make me feel? I have a choice now. I can react to it emotionally, or I can respond to it. And I find that types of, it takes a bit of practice, of course.
Yes. It's
But
like a muscle.
it's like a muscle.
In any moment, you are given any sort of chances to decide how you would like to respond to an event that is occurring in your reality. This particular idea of being able to see things more clearly at any moment, choosing to see things more clearly in the moment, it's like a muscle. As long as you think you do not have a choice when you are interacting with people or yourself at any moment, you will constantly see yourself as a victim when you are going through your responses and your decisions. So give yourself a chance to open up to aspects of yourself to say when you are in more calm state that, what am I feeling in the moment? Is it real? Or is this a previous experience that I have decided to act on in a negative way? Give yourself the opportunity in your future experiences to sit down and be calm. In time, in through your experience, you will eventually be able to think of things more clearly. No one is saying you have to get this right on the first try, but give yourself the opportunity to decide that you would like to experience life in a particular way.
Fair enough. I mean, really, there's no other choice but to consciously take a different direction over and over
There
again.
is always a choice. There is always a choice. It is up to you to decide whether or not you would like to experience your life in the most peaceful manner or the way that is less peaceful. It is your choice in all times and all places.
Yes, what I meant is you need to make the choice when you get to that moment to respond versus react.
Yes. That is why we come to you like this, to in a peaceful state, in a peaceful perspective, to decide and give yourself a moment that is more in alignment with your being.
Yes.
One moment, we need to make some adjustments to the environment.
Let's see what the dog's all about. You guys are welcome to put your comments. We'll continue the conversation with Ethium a little bit, and then I'll go to all the questions in the comments, and I have a couple written here.
Hey, stop. Come on. Up. The dog was making it hard to focus.
Dog's fine.
I also may kick him out of the room just because he's being a little.
Yeah,
He's being triggered right now.
You want to take him out of the room?
I'm gonna kick him out of the room.
Okay.
You're right.
We'll get Leroy out of the room.
He's usually not this barky unless I have someone over. All right, give me a sec. This is unusual. He doesn't usually bark this much.
It is a different time of day we're doing it, so.
Well, no, I have clients come over here and I work on people, but he's not usually even this barky when I have people come over. All right, give me a sec. All right, we will resume the transmission.
Thank you. Before we went into the transmission, the channel asked me, "How do you feel the changes since we started doing the work?" And I said, I'm a lot more calm, and I don't react so much. I more respond, which is
Yes.
I guess exactly what we're going to here.
Yes.
Yes.
When you view everything as neutral in your experience, in your way of being, it could be positive or it could be negative. When you are coming at the world and through your experience in this particular way of viewing the world, you have more of an opportunity to see things this way.
Thank you. Let me ask you a question that repeats quite often, and it came through my mind. I hear from other people. If someone had a major trauma, whether it's physical trauma, war, all kinds of terrible things, that could throw them in some kind of a loop, but it's very hard for them, not for all, but some people are very hard for them to get out of that terrible situation they've experienced, or maybe someone they know experienced. What a person like that could do to move to seeing the beauty of life and enjoy every day for what it is.
Give them space. Give them the opportunity to decide how they would like to experience things. Understand when you go through very traumatic experiences, structures of your brain, because remember, your brain is not the source of your consciousness. It can get stuck in loops because you have been through a very traumatic experience that has modified those aspects of your brain. It modifies the connection that you have to always go back to this particular connection point. Give them space, but also at the same time, give them an opportunity to see that they are able to move out of the loop that they have been in. Because if you are stuck in the past, you will become very depressed. When you are projecting yourself into the future too much, you will become very anxious into your experiences. When you have not given yourself direction, when you are allowing yourself to be running on autopilot instead of being more active in your experience of life.
Yes, I understand that the past is connected to depression and the future is connected to anxiety. Therefore, we have to be in the moment. Uh,
Yes,
Once I'm in the moment and fully focus on this conversation with you, for example, right now,
yes.
I cannot be anywhere else. So I cannot be anxious or depressed.
There is no other place to be other than right here, right now.
Yes.
Everything is here now. Remember that. It is the second law.
Yes. If we mention the laws, would you remind mentioning the five laws again, please? I think it'll be useful.
The first law is existence has only one quality. It exists. That is the only quality that it has. That is the only thing it can do. It is just exists. If you exist in all times, all places, on all levels, just in different forms. The second law is everything is here and now, all time, all space, all places, all levels of consciousness, all exist just on different frequencies in parallel realities. The third law is what you put out is what you get back, which means the energy that you put out into the world is what you receive back. If you are going through the idea of experiencing very anxious situations, or many people feel very nervous around you, they are merely just reflecting back that particular energy that you are putting out in the moment.
Mm.
The fourth law is the one is the all is the one is the all, pretending to be the one, all that is. The one does not know itself, but through the reflection of all that is, it has the reflection through all of you and all of us in existence, because it would be not complete without all of you and us and everyone simultaneously in all levels of reality. And the fifth law is everything changes but the first four laws. Everything in your reality is a variation on those four laws, five laws. We are apologizing. But in your experience and in your reality, everything is actually more of a reflection of your energy at all moments.
I would summarize it. My experience is a summary of all of the previous four laws, and I imagine to myself these four laws each move on a scale, and combination of these four scales creates that present reality I'm
Yes.
experiencing.
Yes.
Right.
It's all your choice. It's all your experience. There's no one else out there but you. You may be in consensus realities like we are experiencing currently and having these types of interactions, but it's all you in your reality. You're being reflected back to you at this time, a more calm, stable energy that is being shown to you that you have reached a state where you were able to exist in that particular way.
Thank you.
Those that resonate with this information, with this time, with this channel, they have reached the point where they have started living a more peaceful life in all times, in all places.
Yes. I wanted to ask you, excuse me, Ra mentions densities, first to seventh, I believe. Could you
Yes.
explain a bit about those densities and what they mean and how it works?
Dimension is more like a continent. Dimensions are like states with inside that continent. The whole reality is all that is. The idea of different densities comprises the idea of different frequency levels that exist and show you what your experience is.
Thank you. Uh, I believe Ra mentioned that we live currently in a third. density, and we are rising to fourth or fifth. Am I correct?
Fourth density. You are actually in fourth density. You are going through the process currently to let go of all that is from third density. The idea of separation, the idea of not having enough or not being enough in your reality, which because you are shifting to those much higher frequencies, it is impossible to hold on to the particular ideas that went along with third density.
Thank you. With the move to fourth density, are wars eliminated, violence, anger?
Eventually. But the idea of anger more comes out of the idea of not integrating those aspects of yourself.
I see. Once one is integrated, there's no need for war or quarrel of any sorts.
No, because you do not see anything separate from yourself. You do not see anything outside of your experience. So when you are getting angry at the world or you're seeing a war happen in your world, there is an aspect of yourself that is not integrated. So you do not see the world separate from you. You realize you are the reality that you exist in. All of it is your energy. Or
Yeah.
the collective energy of the senseless reality that you exist in with many, many, many others.
Thank you. What would it take for a group, culture, state, country, people to switch from the energy of war, the person on the other side of the fence or the line in the map is my enemy, to there are people just like me?
Yes.
What would it take for an entire culture to switch from the war mode to the peace mode, to see the others as themselves?
You are currently going through that experience right now. You are going through the particular experiences that are letting you decide whether or not you would like to live in a state of war.
Thank you. Let me go through some questions here, please. So I had one question from Antonio. He's not on the call right now, but he delivered in the comments earlier. And Antonio is asking about Tartaria. Was it real and what is it?
Tartaria is a particular idea that is connected to previous civilizations. It is more of the idea of the energy that came from civilizations such as Mu, Atlantis, or many other civilizations that have not been recorded. The ruins that you see around your world come from the idea of the megalithic flood that changed the face of your world and changed the way your seas and your people interact with each other and disconnected you in a way from each other.
Was Tartaria an actual country or kingdom of sorts?
No. It's just the idea of those previous civilizations that did exist at one point, but no longer do.
And we just call them collectively Tartaria.
Yes.
Thank you. I see photos and drawings of beautifully detailed buildings,
Yes.
and they say from the Tartaria era or time, and there's none of these left. It's as if they completely got erased.
They were covered by mud. And remember, you are shifting to other realities as well, where these pictures may not actually exist.
So they might have existed in a different dimension or timeline, but now I'm no longer the timeline, therefore I cannot find them.
Yes.
Thank you.
You make a complete shift at every moment to a different reality. Remember, the reality you are shifting to matches your energy.
Yes.
If it no longer matches your energy to believe in the idea of a destroyed civilization that they are hiding something from you, all evidence from that reality will not exist inside of your current one.
Right. I believe you said, and I've heard the Bashar saying as well, that once you change your point of view on or the way you relate to something, the person you were in the past and that event completely change.
Yes, because you are a completely different person. We mean this literally. At all times, all places, you are literally a different person.
Right. At what point can I activate instantaneous healing? Since I
You can
can
do it
do it,
now.
you can do it
You
now.
can do it now. You have beliefs that are in place that say you need to go through a process to heal. But if you are truly in alignment with yourself and truly in the understanding that you can instantaneously heal, there's nothing that can stop you.
Thank you. There seemed to be a high degree of cancer rate right now, more than before.
Yes,
W- What is it attributed to?
toxins in your food and your diets.
And those people with the cancer, as far as I understand, it's also an emotional process.
Yes. Remember, all diseases have an emotional, energetic component to them.
Yeah, yes. So that means that the two people in the same household could be exposed to the same toxins. One of them will get cancer, but the other won't.
Yes.
And that's because the one that got cancer has a perhaps a lesser or more negative view of themselves or the world.
Yes. When the idea of cancer shows up in your experience, whether it's at an older age or a younger age, is different. When you are at a much older age and that particular energetic dysfunction shows up, what is eating you? This is the question we would ask you at those moments. What is eating you? What are you allowing to be less positive in your experience, not integrated into your experience? What is eating that aspect of yourself that you have not truly integrated and not truly allowed yourself to be fully part of your experience?
Yes. And for the younger age,
The younger age, many times, these can be experiences that the soul decided it wanted to go through at a early age to give themselves a particular point of view that they could not have had in that lifetime if they were fully healthy.
thank you. I would imagine that going through such experience would really show someone how to love themselves, perhaps for the first time or again, and how to have more compassion to the world.
Yes. Many times, those types of experiences, when they do show up in your life and you will experience them, that is typically what they are there for.
And the people that heal from cancer, they have integrated that emotional part of them that pull their trigger.
Yes. What aspects of themselves do they not love? Many times, these is typically the thing that's being asked of that person. What part of you do you not love? What part of yourself do you need to integrate into your experience? What part have you been running away from for a majority of your life?
Thank you. Is perhaps my data is wrong, but is the reason for a high or higher number of cancer rate these days, if it's indeed that, is because more people are going through an emotional process to realizing what they need to let go of, and that um, their ego and themselves, the higher selves, kind of like at odds about these issues.
Yes, they are manifesting the idea of denial of themselves and denial of their experiences.
Thank you.
This is also typically where you get the idea of elderly people going through the idea of dementia. They have decided through their life and their experience that they would like to deny themselves the experience that they had in their younger years, denying that they are responsible for themselves. So typically, you see in many elderly people in your society that they go through the idea of complete and utter denial of their mental state.
Right. And there's my uncle, God bless him, just turned 97,
Yes.
His body is, not that great, but he's laughing all the time and he's sharp as a razor, just
Yes.
as it was.
He does not live in a state of denial.
No, lots to learn from him.
Yes.
Okay, Mary. Joy is the language of the higher self or soul. What if I
Yes.
don't do the things I don't want to do? I wonder if it's just an excuse.
The idea of procrastination and dragging your feet to do the thing, whether you want to or not, if it is meant for you to experience in your lifetime, you will experience it. You can experience it in a state of joy where you are connecting to that aspect of yourself, or you can experience it through the idea of denial and destruction of yourself. You can experience it in a very negative way. But if you allow yourself to go with the flow into your experience of your connection to yourself, you will experience the idea of ease as you move through your reality.
Thank you. Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's only as difficult as you make it on yourself.
Yes. And I have to say, in the old world, we lived on a farm or in a village, and life was in somewhat more simple. And in the moment, you tend to your garden, you tend to your family, you tend to your livestock, and more or less, and you're always in nature. Now
Yes.
we all stuck in tiny little rooms, surrounded by hundreds of Wi-Fi's, and
Yes.
bombarded with messages nonstop. It's hard to just focus and be in a moment almost.
Yes. This is where the emotional clarity comes in. When you can have the discernment to know what is right for you and what is right for other people, you'll let go of these things. You'll move beyond the idea of what is you and what is other people, what belongs to you, what truly belongs to you, and what really belongs to other people. When you have the discernment to decide what is right for you, you'll move on.
Yes, thank you. Diamond Mind. What are the three best practices we can do to complete our soul contracts, even if we don't know our contracts as such?
Ask yourself, what is your purpose? Ask yourself in the moment, in any day or place you feel guided to do that. Give yourself permission. It's all about permission. You can make it as complicated as you want, you can make it as simple as you want. It's all your choice. But allow yourself to be in the flow and use discernment for what is right for you, and have the knowingness to be able to walk your life and understand that you are always on your path. It does not matter what you're doing, you are always there. You are the path that you are on. Walk with this knowing. If we would say the three best practices is walk in the knowing, take a deep breath at any moment you need to, and really just have discernment to know what is correct for you at all times.
Number one, walk in the know. Number two, practice your breathing.
Yes.
And number three, discern what is right for you.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's not complicated. We know that many of you have been fed the idea that you are not worthy
Yes.
by religions, by various people in your life. This is not true. This is never true. It could never be true. But you are worthy to exist because you do. You wouldn't be here otherwise.
Yes, thank you.
Quit fighting with all that is about your self worth.
Yes, thank you. Mary, I've heard that in the year 2027 there will be extraterrestrials walking around on our planet, and that all will know that ET exists. But what is the sequence of
Not
events?
walking around, not walking around. You are going to see a mass sighting, a mass event happen that will let you know we are here. But these types of sightings are starting to happen all the time and they are increasing in frequency. But you are already going through the experience of acclimatizing to our existence.
Yes.
It's not just one event. If we
Continue.
just showed up tomorrow, you would go into mass panic and your society would fall apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's happening all over your world, not just in one country, not just in one place where everyone focuses, but it is happening around your world.
Yes. Ethan, what was the importance and function of the solar event on recent April 8th?
You are going through a series of doorways right now. You're going through the idea of upgrades, of frequency upgrades that are happening on your world and your people on through your world as well.
I've felt a shift in a positive way,
Yes.
mentally, emotionally, physically, shortly after that event. And I wonder if it has to do with the event or just all things come together that way for now.
You went through an upgrade. You're feeling the idea of a positive upliftment of yourself and your experience of reality.
Thank you. The channel also mentioned to me, and we spoke about this, that we both feel better, stronger physically.
Yes.
Okay.
This is a symptom of the upgrades.
Okay, thank you. Just going to follow here the.
You will also experience less time.
What do you mean by that?
Because you are operating at a much higher frequency, the idea of time as you know it currently will be invalid.
It's more in the moment and less on the clock.
Yes. It does not actually exist as you know it.
Right.
As your understanding of reality from moment to moment is more of an applicable thing. But the idea of living on the clock, living in time, living through these shorter expansions of your experience of time don't actually exist beyond your experience of it.
Right. Some people say that time seems to be accelerating.
Yes,
What does that mean?
just what we just said. You are experiencing less time, so you are experiencing the idea of an acceleration of your being and of your understanding of your world. You're not imagining things as they would have you believe.
Thank you. Let me give you an example that perhaps with further going to this topic here. A couple of days ago, my friend and I went to the farm and visited my friends. The family lives on the farm, and we got to stay on the land a little bit and take our shoes off and meditate. It was wonderful, and had a sandwich, and then went back to the city.
Yes.
And that was only 2 days ago, and it already feels like 2 years ago.
Time, as you move into higher levels and higher frequencies, is more fluid in nature. So your perception of time is shifting to those higher frequencies.
Thank you. What about memories? What is memory and where is it stored?
It's not stored in you at all. It is a connection to a parallel reality that you are making connection to in the moment. It is how we function. That is how we are able to connect to different aspects of reality at all moment. We are plugged in to that particular understanding. It sounds like we know what we're talking about all the time, correct? We speak with such a level of confidence when we were speaking to your people, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, I only know what I know in the moment. I don't know anything other than when it is there in the moment, and then once it's done, it's gone. I live this way. I live constantly this way. I know this works because I have lived it for many, many years.
Right.
So I'm able to speak with conviction because I've only ever lived this way.
Very good. Thank you. You know, this came up in earlier conversations, and when it comes up now, it's a lot more clear to me.
Yes.
And that is
because you are moving from a different perspective. It no longer triggers those past experiences because you know these things are starting to be true for you. So therefore, you're acting that way.
yes, and that is the reason why sometimes I ask you again, because I realize that from this point of view, from this perspective, the answer may be a lot more integrated.
Yes. You notice when we speak to you, we speak in a very patient tone.
Yes.
We know this is all part of the process. When you have asked us in the past, when will this thing happen? Well, when it's supposed to. There's no rush.
Yes, yes, yeah, okay. The earlier sessions were definitely more naive, so to speak.
Well, you had not quite integrated the understanding we are bringing forward to you. And the channel himself was not able to transmit our energy as clearly as he has been able to now, because he was also going through a process that allowed him to more easily transmit our energy to you. He's going through the process. We are also going through a process, just a different process.
Yes. And I do feel that the connection that the channel, myself, and you have is stronger and clearer, even when we're not doing a session.
Yes.
Yes.
Because you are resonating more in a frequency similar to ours, so we're able to connect with us much more easily. It's no more complicated than that. It's simple physics.
Yes. The other day, yeah, yesterday or the day before, um, I spoke with my friend who I'm working on a health program with, which is wonderful. And my friend is currently in India getting some medical procedure and resting and healing. And he left me a message saying, I need to take a break until this is done. Like I thought I can, while I'm healing, work on the program, but I really need to rest. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, no big deal. I thought about it a little bit, and not much later after, I had an entire realization that my friend is also going through a process where he is leaving or removing his past lives and really looking at issues that dragged him down, so to speak, and is clearing his way, and he is on his route to become a leader and a guide for others.
Yes. This is
So,
the process.
yes,
Each person, it looks different for.
yes. So I left my friend a quick voice note, and the response came a day later. Said, "How did you know it? Did this come from the channel?" And I said, "No, I just knew it. I received it, and I let you know."
We would say
Yeah.
this message to all of you to let you know that you are channels.
Yes.
We are just guiding you in your ability to connect to yourself in a more holistic way. When the channel keeps saying there's nothing special about me, he means it.
Yeah.
He's just showing you that you have the ability to channel for yourself, have the ability to connect to your higher self, connect to your ability to connect to other aspects of yourself that do all exist simultaneously, that you are all part of all that is. So therefore, you all have the same abilities that he does. It's just he expresses it in a more open way than most people are typically ready to.
Yes. And
You'll
and
never be given more than you can handle at any moment.
very true. And the process of myself receiving this message, it wasn't loud, but it was clear.
Yes.
And the thought went through my mind: Am I imagining this, and am I being egotistic, or is that my job to give him the message?
Typically, the person who delivers the message, it is their job. But the idea that it is egotistical, typically when it is coming from more of an egotistical state, it has kind of a negative twinge to it. When it's just being given information that is to be passed on, typically it is very light and is very quiet in nature. But use your discernment of when and who to give it to.
Thank you. Faith Williams. I have been receiving something. Show this. I called morning messages and I heard others are experiencing the same thing. Upon waking, a word, words, or a phrase will drop into my awareness. Where
Yes,
is this coming from?
your guides. You are all reaching a state where you can start having more active relationships with your guides, where they are just giving you the idea of information. Use your discernment to determine whether it is coming from your higher mind, your guides, or the lower ego that is in a state of fear.
Could you elaborate a little bit more about what happens when the ego is in a state of fear?
It goes back to the title of this particular transmission: pulled your trigger. Those aspects of yourself that are not fully integrated, and typically those people who are acting from that particular state, will be very egotistical in their receivement of information. It is the idea of being able to be open to those aspects of yourself. No more complicated than that. When we say this stuff is simple, we mean make it simple. Allow yourself to see things simplistically instead of making them complex in nature. Because many times that is what the negative ego does. The lower mind, the physical mind, thinking it needs to do more than it actually is. When you are receiving information from your higher mind or your guides, they give it to you in the most unintrusive way they can.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Sarah Yon, the zodiac sign Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, which is the mother?
Yes.
That is the question.
Which is the mother? It is the feminine aspect of yourself. When you have the idea of a moon show up in your chart, this is the feminine aspect of yourself, whereas your sun sign is the masculine aspect of yourself. If you look into these particular signs, you will see that they have particular characteristics that show up, but you do have aspects of many other signs inside of your astrological chart and your energetic state. So the idea of the mother is more representation of the idea of the feminine state in your experience and how you choose to show yourself.
Thank you. Dolores, can my brain injury be instantaneously healed? No need to heal slowly. The cancer is shrinking and healing. I understand if these answers are inappropriate at this time.
The idea of a instantaneous healing is possible. It is completely possible. You could completely heal in a moment, but you will only ever heal as fast as you believe you can. If you do not have the idea of, I can instantaneously heal from this thing, because remember, we are quasi physical in nature, my people, whether it is Raelka, the Bashar, or any other ones that have come through Shale, these particular beings that I do work with quite often, we as a people instantaneously heal. We are energetic in nature. So when one body is broken, we instantly just shift to a new version that does not have the energy. We do not get sick. We do not eat. We do not sleep.
Right. Would you like to remind us how the Sessanis come to be physically?
We are a hybrid species. We are a mix of 50% genetically gray and 50% genetically human. We were created in nature. In our terms of understanding, we are around 10,000 years old. But because we were created in a laboratory, as it were, we had kind of a head start in our understanding and our connection to all that is. We are your descendants energetically, and actually, we are actually your descendants. But we are thousands of years ahead of your future. We come to Earth to help guide you and give you understandings that could not have been delivered otherwise, because this is the function that we act, because we are a bridge species.
Thank you. Ethan, how did the Sessani move from physical being to a quasi-physical?
It took some time. The idea is there was a being on my planet that was born and lived for 3 days. In the process of being born, it instantaneously connected all of my species to wake up to our full existence.
Yeah, you mentioned that being before. That was a Sessani being, correct?
Yes.
What happened during those 3 days?
Everyone completely woke up and became telepathic. We woke up to the dream. We woke up to our experience of the dream and realized that our physical body was not as important as we were making it. We moved beyond the idea of being purely analytical in our nature to being fully integrated into our being, which allows us to be able to come through people like the channel, which is one of my past incarnations.
Mhm. At what part have the Sessani developed their sense of humor?
We always had it. Because of the way we were created, we have your sense of humors, the idea of puns.
Yes.
Also, remember, we do communicate with you in the way that is most applicable. If humor is the way that we can come across to you, to be able to have the colloquialisms, to be able to actually communicate with you in such a way that you understand us and gets the point across in a very light way, so we can speak to you at all times.
Thank you, and I truly appreciate it. Simply because, from personal experience, when I came to North America, I had no idea of the colloquialism, and I did not understand any of the puns.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
This is where the idea of communication comes in. We will communicate to you in the way that's most applicable for you. Whereas if we were coming through a person from a different civilization or a different society, we will be translated through what's appropriate for them.
Thank you. Does your experience with other beings or races you've helped or are helping now somewhat similar or parallel to what you're seeing with us?
Because you have gone as far into the darkness, far into the negativity, beyond what is typically normal for most species and most planets, you had to be guided through an experience differently than those species. Also, remember, the way those species communicate is much different than the way humans communicate. The languages that are spoken to them have a different style to them, we'll say.
Thank you. I hear a lot of talk about new technology coming to Earth in the next few years.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on, what to expect, where would this come from?
Many of the technologies have been given to your people via ideas through sources that are not able to be controlled. But these types of technologies have been appearing on your planet for many years at this point. Many old technologies will be rediscovered that were used in ancient times prior to your civilization. Will give you a different perspective and a different way of living. They will not be repressed because at that time, those particular people that have been repressing this type of technology will no longer be in power.
Thank you. We are really looking into the age where we're moving from ego-based, fear-based society, which each controls each other by some
Yes.
sort of a hierarchical, pyramidical structure, to more of a, I guess, a plentiful society.
Yes.
peaceful.
Yes. Your technology will reflect this particular understanding.
What about medical technology? What can we expect? What's the future of a hospital or a doctor?
The future of your medical technology will change and grow and adapt to the society that it will exist in. You will not see your current system for too many more years because it does not work for the whole.
Correct.
Remember, at this time, you and your society and the way you have jobs, you use people. You see them as things instead of living beings that require different ideas and different energy to work. Some people prefer to work 30 hours a week. Some people desire to work 60 to 70 hours a week or more. Your technology will reflect your level of understanding, as will your medical systems.
Thank you. And I guess there will be new technologies not even fathomed at the moment,
Yes.
based on energy, crystals, or whatever it is.
The idea of crystals themselves, they hold a resonant frequency that is easier for you to actually personify than trying to remember to hold that frequency at any given moment. So all that those types of beings are there to do is to teach you to get into a particular frequency.
I see. I see. Thank you. So once I get to that frequency, I can. I'm open to other things that I was not able for me to see or fathom before.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Good.
As you said to the channel before when you spoke previously,
Hmm.
the idea of the mushroom teacher
Yeah.
is just there to teach you to get into that particular state.
Right. Yes. 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 Very good. And
This
for
is
all.
why everything is a permission slip.
Right.
It just takes different forms.
The message I had for my friend regarding his healing and becoming a leader and a teacher, where did that message come from, and who passed it to me?
His higher mind spoke to your higher mind, and your guides gave it to you.
So I can give it to him in this realm.
Yes,
Why did I know that answer the moment I asked you the question?
because we are speaking to your higher mind right now.
Right.
You are
Thank
never
you.
not connected to your higher mind.
Right. Thank you. I was mentioning to the channel, one of our chats, that it seemed that the level of premonition I'm receiving is increasing all the time.
Yes. Time and space are becoming more malleable, more open to you to be able to see the future or the past, to be able to see time and space as fluid, to see things more like us.
Thank you. I did have in the past uh, some experiences where I look out the window and the actual physical reality seemed to be malleable.
Yes, it's all malleable.
It's all malleable.
Have you seen the movie Interstellar?
Yes.
The scene towards the end of that movie where he moves through a black hole into a higher dimensionality? Yes.
Yes.
This is how we see reality. This is how we see the shifting prism of reality and time and space. That is a visualization of that understanding.
Thank you. I will have to review that. Black hole scene. Okay.
At this time, we will take 3 more questions.
Okay. Thank you. Diamond Mind, will social media be removed eventually due to its effect on disconnecting humanity?
It will be shaped. It will be changed. It will be changed to something more reflective that is conducive to your collective actually being cohesive in nature. It will be not separated, but eventually the idea of needing social media to connect to others will fade away.
Because I'll just call you in my mind.
Yes, you'll be more like us, where you are telepathic in nature and people cannot hide anything. They will have connections to others. So why would you need to go on social media to find out about the person you are thinking of?
Yes. Do you see us moving into more of a local and locally organized culture and communities?
Yes. You will start to be in more natural environments, so you will start to spread out instead of being concentrated in large cities. But this
So,
will also take time. Remember, this all takes time. This is not instantaneously how your society will just transform in the next moment, unless you really believe that that's what will happen.
yeah, did you say more or less concentrated in the big cities?
Less.
Which was in part the reason for my trip on Saturday to look if I can find a place to live out of town.
You are naturally, energetically shifting yourself to places that are more reflective of where you are energetically. It's
Absolutely.
natural. It's part of the communication, it's part of the evolution process.
Okay, very good. My last question would be, and after that, I will ask you to summarize today. And my last question would be, pulled the triggered. Should we pull a pun on someone? Should we pull a trigger? We see someone who's going the wrong direction. Well, is it even our right to go to someone and say, hey, like, you can take a different look at life, or you don't have to be so scared or angry, or anyway, or should I just leave them alone to let them go through their own experience?
We would ask that you have patience and ask them why. Why are they triggered in the moment? Why are they allowing themselves to be there? But have compassion and understanding for them and yourself when you are going through those particular times and spaces. Be open to the idea of the frequency of compassion at all times. Have compassion for yourself. And then it's more easily open to the idea of having compassions for others. Because kindness does start from your inner state. So, at all times, in all places, do not purposely go about triggering people unless you find that interesting, but you also have to be willing to stay with the person and allow them to see why they are triggered. Be kind to yourself and others. It's not there just to destroy people, not to destroy their understanding of who they are, but be open to the idea of being around for people when they need it. It's your choice.
Thank you. Would you like to summarize today's subject, please?
We already did.
Thank you very much for today.
Good day.
Good day.
Yeah, that was fun. 1 second, I'm gonna let the dog back in.
Thank you, everyone. Your comments. When there's some chat on the group, it's sometimes it's hard for me to like discern the questions from the chat, but it's okay. Keep it coming. I'll post our links one more time here. And if you'd like to book a session, it's available. It's working. We have some slots available.
Oh, that was great.
All right.
It was great seeing y'all again. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'm glad you guys came and joined us today. Like, this is fun. We may be shifting around because Jozef's daughter is going to be around more often. We may be shifting times that we're doing this. So we'll keep you posted when we're actually going to be doing it in the future. So.